Yeah, so when I got out of the Army, I used my GI Bill to go to film school. And I've always been a storyteller. As a matter of fact, I was literally a storyteller when I was an actor.
Okay.
I got a job at Barnes & Noble as the storyteller in the kids department.
Well, I have to say, your voice sounds very nice.
Not as nice as yours. You definitely have the best voice. But I wouldn't just read the stories. Like the person that I basically stole the job from was, your typical little old lady that would sit there and turn the pages and read to the kids. And she'd have, 3 or 4 kids in there while the parents were shopping, which I think is what Barnes & Noble had envisioned. And then one day she was sick, and I was like, hey, do you mind if because I knew I wanted that job.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, do you mind if I get up there and do it? And I was, 20, maybe 21 at the time, and they're like, why do you want to work in the kids section? That's not a typical guy thing. And
I want to read the story.
Yeah. And I started to perform the stories. Oh, right. So, but I would do the ones that I knew. I did all the fairy tales, like Three Billy Goats Gruff and Rumpelstiltskin, Goldilocks. So I had these stories memorized. They were like a part of my who I was. So I didn't have to read them, and then I could kind of explore the story a bit and embellish and act out and use voices. And before long, I was pulling in crowds of 50 to 100 people for story time. Parents were coming and not just shopping. They were standing there and just watching.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, I got written up in the news. It was really crazy. So I always loved storytelling. It was captivating. And then I came across Max Lucado's book, Tell Me the Story.
Oh.
And what he does, which he's so good at, I mean, he's really, really gifted, is he would take Bible stories, rewrite them to be just secular stories.
Oh, wow.
And therefore, I got to take these Bible stories into public schools and perform the stories and the Christian teachers would always be like,
hey, that sounds familiar.
I know what you're doing. And, give me like the little knuckles and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the public school was paying me to basically minister to the kids.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And I mean, it wasn't pushing any kind of religion. It wasn't pushing any kind of agenda. It was pushing the message that Jesus came here to do, which is love.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, and I really, I mean, that's the focal point of my book. It's the focal point of everything that I do is love.
Yeah.
It starts with you. Gotta love you. Because again, you can't love anybody more or past the extent that you've learned to love yourself, right? And learning to love you only comes from getting to know your creator. So there's a great story called You Are Special that Max Lucado wrote about a town of wooden people called Weemics, and they all live in Weemickville. And the Weemics, what they did for their society was they would go around and they all had little boxes with stickers in them. And they would go around and to the pretty Weemics and the talented Weemics, and the strong Weemics, the athletic Weemics, they would give these gold star stickers to. But to the ones that maybe had some chip paint, or maybe they were a little clumsy, or they would try to speak and it wasn't that eloquent, they would give gray dot stickers to.
Oh, okay.
Right? Well, one of the Weemics was named Punchinello. And Punchinello was covered in gray dot stickers. I mean, head to toe. As a matter of fact, he had so many gray dot stickers on him that sometimes Weemics would just come up and put another one on him just to be like, you suck so bad, we're just going to give you another one, right? Like, it was crazy. And it got so bad that Punchinello just stopped going outside. He would just sit in his house, look out the window, and, dream about what it would be like to be a gold star sticker Weemic. Well, one day he sees a girl walk by his window who doesn't have any gray dot stickers and doesn't have any gold star stickers. She has no stickers at all. And he's like, what? Who? She knew? Like, who is that? And she sees him looking at him, and she stops and she's like, come over here. And they start talking, and he goes, how do you not have any stickers? And she goes, well, the stickers just don't stick to me. And he's like, what? He says, yeah, some people, because she was pretty. She was a pretty Weemic. Some people would go up and try to put a gold star sticker on her and just fall right off. And then others would come up because she didn't have any gold star stickers, try to put a gray dot sticker on her, and that would fall off. And he's like, man, that's how I want to be. I don't want anyone's marks. I don't want anyone's stickers on me, right? She goes, well, what I do is I go up the hill to the wood carver who made us, and I just kind of hang out with him every day. And the stickers just don't stick. And he's like, wow, do you think he'd, hang out with me? She's like, absolutely. As a matter of fact, he's been asking for you. So he went to bed that night. He's looking up at the hill, and he's like, all right, tomorrow I'm going to go up there. And sure enough, the next day he goes and he walks up the hill and he gets there. But of course, the moment he walks in to the wood shop, like the hammer is as big as him, right? Like it's very intimidating. And he's like, forget this. And he turns around to leave, and all of a sudden he hears the wood carver call his name. And he says, Punchinello, is that you? He says, I was hoping you'd come. Come on over here. And he picks him up and puts him on the wood bench. And he's like, boy, it looks like you have some bad marks. And Punchinello gets all insecure. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I try to do good things. And wood carver just says, stop. I don't care who are the Weemics to judge you. I made them just like I made you. You're fine. He says, well, I met this girl and she's told me about you and none of the stickers stick to her and I want to be like that. And he says, well, for now, you've got a lot of marks on you. Let's just have you come and hang out with me every day. And eventually they won't stick because you are special. I made you and I don't make any junk. And with that, he picked Punchinello up and put him back on the ground. And he says, come back and see me tomorrow. And Punchinello starts walking to the door. And as he's walking away, he says to himself, I think he actually means that. And with that, one gray dot sticker fell off. And it's such a great story. And it's obviously a story about getting to know your creator and understanding his love for you and how he made you and that you are special, that you're not junk. And to be able to bring that story into the schools and tell these kids that right now, especially, are being told so much garbage and they're getting so confused. And who's the author of confusion? The devil. These are the messages that need to be put out. And it's not religion and it's not rules. It's not, all the stuff that nobody likes about God, which isn't even of God. That's what we've created God, in our image. God is about love. It's about just loving one another. Love yourself. Get to know me. And that's the secret. If you can just focus on that, forget about judging others, forget about Karens, forget about all the crap that's happening in the world. It doesn't matter if they're trans. It doesn't matter any of this stuff. Don't get caught up in what all the misdirection that the evil magician's trying to get you to focus on. Focus on loving yourself. And out of loving yourself, and I don't mean in a selfish way, but in the way that God has created us to love, and then start loving others. If somebody's doing something you don't disagree with, you're not in any position. It's not for you to judge. Just love them, accept them, that they're on a path, and maybe they're not on a good path, but they're not going to get off that path by you judging them and yelling at them and condemning them. They might be open to listening to what you have to say if you love them.
Man, that is beautiful. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is the great James, Joseph James. And you guys got to check out his book. If you guys want more, go to the link down below, Single Dads. He also has a podcast. And I want you guys to click on that link. I'm going to have that in the description also. And subscribe to his channel so you can hear that lovely voice sharing these stories with you on a regular basis. We got to have you back on the pod to do this. And
I got plenty more stories.
Yeah, this is awesome. And guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification button so you know when the next videos come out, and leave a comment down below. If you have any questions that you want to ask that we didn't cover today, because we kind of this was like an introduction.
We bounced all over for sure.
Oh yeah, we were bouncing all over.
It's like a Super Bowl.
One of the things that's good about this show is we go down lots of rabbit trails. So we start with one agenda and then we end up over here and we completely miss the mark. But I believe it's things that people need to hear.
Yep.
And so if you guys have any questions, put those in the description and we'll make sure to read those. And I'll either comment to you or we'll talk about it on the next podcast.